Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday, June the 16th, 2019, 5:03 p.m. Pacific Time, United States of America. So we're going to do a kind of a climate roundup, sea ice report, and earthquake report tonight. So we're going to start off with methane from Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services. We call it CAMS. Got methane. Their latest data is from Friday, June the 14th. I have the Arctic area pulled up and surface level showing. So here's where it left off on Thursday. Where we're still seeing high releases around the northern part of Novaya Zemlya. Norway, Sweden, and Finland are covered in massive releases of methane. Also up here, notice the different colors of green that are coming up, and this is denoting higher amounts of methane coming up through the sea ice. And I'm going to be showing you the sea ice too this evening, and you'll see that this area, there are already holes all the way through the sea ice, and this part, this whole Chukchi Sea over this East Siberia Arctic shelf is very thin. It's about to go. And also when we look at Climate Reanalyzer, at the 2-meter temperature anomaly, this whole area is brown and up into the red area. So this, just because this is green does not mean that there's no methane being released. Remember, the color charts changed in December. And so there are different degradations of green now. And when you get up into this chartreuse color, that's 2,000 parts per billion. And then when in the yellow, it's to 2020. So we've got methane releasing. So I've got the movie loaded up, so we'll go ahead and play this. I'm a little hoarse. I apologize for that. People just have to deal with it. I've been going through stuff at my apartment and decluttering, and you know, I react to everything, so it's the way it is. So what we're seeing, so the data is from Friday, and then the forecast period goes Saturday through Tuesday. So look at these different waves of green, like this lighter green moving all the way across the North Pole. And then we're seeing it even go into the yellow area briefly here. So that's higher release of methane. And we're still seeing this constant releasing here in the Kara Sea. This area down here is always releasing. Alaska is releasing more. We can see that. We've got more release in Canada, also from China, and you can basically see also, you can watch these I'm sorry, you can watch these waves move across as the ground is releasing, because this is at surface level, remember. So look at this wave moving across this North Atlantic, and we're also seeing release on Iceland here on this this western tip of Iceland. Earlier this week I was seeing release on Svalbard. Yep, there it goes. Now I want to show the where is it? West Tropic view. This covers most of North America and all of South America. So remember, we were seeing this huge release coming down this Mississippi Valley, but that looks like that's kind of, there it was at the beginning, but then in the forecast period it's lightening up, and it looks like it's not releasing as much in the later days of the forecast period, but it is going across this upper Midwest and in the Northeast, and also it's releasing high in Baja, Southern California, and then this area, which is around the San Francisco area. So you get the idea on that, and look at this green wave moving across the Atlantic. And here's one coming from the Pacific all the way across. See, here's this arm moving out. That's surface level. Now I want to show a global view. And if you'd like to see more detailed methane reports, for my Subscribe members, I do a detailed methane report almost every day. Whenever it's released from CAMS, I do a detailed report. So in the description box below my video here, you'll see links to Subscribe and my page, and you're welcome to go check it out and join us for uncensored. I go into areas that I really don't want to talk about on YouTube, and more spiritual things over there too. We're seeing high releases in China still, and here's northern India, Saudi Arabia, and different places. You just see it around the world. Now let's look at 500 HPA. That's about 18,000 feet up in the atmosphere. It's about halfway up. Now it doesn't look as bad today. And in fact, when I show you the NOAA readings from yesterday, actually went down. Methane went down this week for the 477 millibar range or level. So we're seeing less of the red up here and more of the orange and yellow. But in spite of that, we've got incredible heating going on. In spite of that, I think this is just a temporary thing with the methane going down like that. We're not seeing the temperatures any cooler, that's for sure. Now, let's move on to Climate Reanalyzer. I've got the weather maps for today pulled up. Here's the maximum for today, and we can see in the Arctic that it's all pretty much above freezing, and the greener it is, like the darker green, that's close to 10 degrees Celsius higher than normal. So we're seeing very warm temperatures around the globe here. And look at Africa and India, the southern United States, and so forth. So, here's the 2-meter temperature anomaly. We can see this western side of Canada and the western and in the northwest Pacific, the United States, and then it's really brown up here in northern Canada. Greenland is pretty much all in the brown. Iceland is brown. Norway, Sweden, Finland, Europe is brown. Now here's this area I was talking to you about near this East Siberia ice or Arctic shelf where this whole coastline of Siberia is red and brown. So when it gets into the red, that's 20 degrees higher than normal. We can see we've got brown areas in the Antarctic. Here's brown through here. So Alaska, a lot of brown. And the world today is showing 0.2 degrees Celsius warmer than normal. The Arctic is showing showing 2.1 degrees Celsius warmer than normal. So that's why that's the sea ice. You'll see it's going fast. Here's the precipitation from today, and here it's raining at the North Pole. Well, the North Pole is right about here, but it's raining a little bit to the west of it and snowing across there. But it's been raining here this week, and they've got a little bit of rain up here in the Chukchi Sea. So there's our rain. Here's that cyclone value. I don't know what it's going to do. It's just in the middle of the Arabian Sea right now. It's not going anywhere at this second. Okay, the jet stream is a mess. It is literally a wreck. And it's like divided up, and I described it as meandering snakes. And it's like two jet streams. It's divided. There's one up here that's looping around, and then there's another one that goes a little lower and loops around. And then in the southern hemisphere you have the same thing. You have this division where you've got basically two jet streams. I don't know what that means, except it's chaotic. Look at this loopy going up and down and up. Here's the sea ice and snow cover for today. I'm going to show you some more detailed pictures of this. So it's not looking good. Sea surface temperature around the world. Lots of reds here and browns. And sea surface temperature anomaly. That's from yesterday. They're always a day behind on that one. Look, it's in the red around Greenland. It's in the red here in the North Atlantic. And it's in the red in this Bering Strait. And in this Beaufort Sea, it's red and brown. So for the world, the sea surface temperature is up 0.3 degrees for the whole world. So there's that. Next, let's go to I'll do my NOAA methane thing next, so I don't forget about it. Hang on. Let me get rid of this. I've got my chart. That's at the... Okay, let's get to the beginning. This is from the NOAA website for the sounding products for mixing ratios for methane for yesterday, the 15th. And there are two satellites, the METOP1 and METOP2. They take readings twice a day, AM and PM, so there are 4 readings. And then there are a whole bunch of different levels. This is at the 477 MB level. But on the picture here it says 469. But on the NOAA, the little icon that you click on, it's 477. So here the mean was 1872. This is parts per billion. We see there's a lot of missing data here over the United States and South America and Central America and over the Atlantic. The high was 2294 parts per billion, and that was over Europe. and different areas that you saw. So here it is for the afternoon, Met-1 afternoon. The mean is 1873 and the high was 2305 parts per billion. Here's the Met-2 in the morning. The mean was 1850. The high was 2512 parts per billion. Over here in Europe and over here in Siberia, it looks like. And here's the Met-2 in the afternoon. The high, the mean was 1851. The high was 2240 parts per billion. So I plugged those numbers into my chart. We came up with an average of this 477 millibar reading as being 1,861.50 parts per billion this week. So that's down from last week, 4.25 parts per billion. And so on our chart here, we see it took a nosedive. So since March the 1st, it's still higher than our March 1st reading of 1857.25. So we're only 4.25 parts per billion higher than March the 1st. Now, as of yesterday. But these satellite, it fluctuates a whole lot. It just does that. So there's that. Now I have pulled out the I went to the hang on. I went to the Navy website and downloaded images for the sea ice thickness in the Arctic. This is from today, and we can see that the purple and the lavender, this is the thinnest, and this kind of lavender color is 1/2 meter. And then when we get into the dark purple to the dark blue, that's about 1 meter thick. And then the dark blue green is 1.5 meters. The aqua is 2 meters. And so on. So we can see that it's melting very quickly. We can see it's melted all on the west side of Greenland. This Baffin Bay is melting quickly. The Hudson Bay is melting quickly. We can see the Bering Strait is completely ice-free. This Beaufort Sea all around the coast of Alaska and Canada is ice-free. It's melting quickly on the edge of Siberia. We can see it's almost completely ice-free right up here. And then it's melting quickly on around this northern edge and all around Russia. And that here's Novaya Zemlya, and it's almost all melted as well. So here's their 30-day GIF. It starts 3 weeks ago. And it runs that, and it goes forecast a week ahead, so it runs through June 23rd. So we're also seeing it getting much thinner. Not only the edges are shrinking, but we can see the colors changing from this aqua, then it goes to the blue, and it's going to the purple on this outside edge. So within another week, we're going to see a dramatic change in the sea ice. dramatic melt. And this is the beginning of the melt season. It melts, they say, until mid-September is when it ends. But we saw it continue melting. And there are studies and articles and all this stuff about how it's melting from underneath because of the salt water coming in from the Atlantic Ocean and the Pacific Ocean coming in and mixing with this fresh water and melting from underneath. I also created this movie for you. This is from NASA Worldview, and it's from June the 1st, and it runs through June the 14th. And this is sea ice concentration. And we can, wherever it's blue, it's less, it means it's less sea ice, it's thinner. So you can see dramatic shift from day to day. There's an area right up here. See this area? I think there's going to be a hole developed right there, and that's not very far from the North Pole. Here's the North Pole here. I apologize for my voice. There is nothing I can do about it. So there's that. So we'll close that. I also have Greenland. This is off of the National Snow and Ice Data Center. This is Greenland ice sheet today. You can track it. Here's where it's melting today. Whole huge area in the salmon color, and here's the number of melt days on the different areas since January 1st. And this graph shows the Greenland melt extent so far, and this is percentage, and it's in early June it hit about 43%, where the extent is melting. And we can see all these years back to 1981, this blue line was the median from 81 to 2010. And then these other things are the ranges from the different years. But we can see it's just totally spiked up. Then on the National Snow and Ice website, here's the Arctic, and here's the concentration for today. Here's the graph, and it is the Arctic sea ice extent it has been at the lowest ever since they've been recording it all year. Well, here's since March, and so here it is. This was the first part of June. This is a little bit not quite up to date. But this dotted line was 2012, and that was the year that the Arctic sea ice was at its lowest extent, at least. Not thickness or concentration, but lowest extent. And there's a big difference between extent and concentration. And in the Antarctic, that's what the Antarctic is doing right now. It's not very thick, and it's at the lowest ever for our Antarctic sea ice extent for this time of year. So our sea ice is not doing very well. Now we're going to take a little tour of the Arctic sea ice. Let's go to today. Let me refresh. Here we go. So we've got some cloud cover here, so we have to discern between clouds and ice sometimes, but it'll be easier to do since you saw those charts. So this is cloud here because we know that it's all melted around Greenland. And here's a little bit of ice left, and it's melted around here on the west side where the Canada coast comes up. But see, it's totally melted, and look how far in it's melted on the land. Here it is on the east side. That's just some kind of ice, just a little filmy something left. They count it as ice, but it's not enough to do anything. Here's Iceland. It's almost all melted. It's got a little bit over here, and over here left. Here's Norway. Here's Novaya Zemlya, and we can see that the ice has broken away from the coastline. So this is just a thin cloud we're looking through here. But we can see blue ocean here all the way around this Russian island. And this is where that methane keeps coming up, right here in the Kara Sea. It's coming up over here too. So we're looking through clouds here. There's not much ice, it's just chunks. It's pretty much gone here. Here is that very thin ice around the coast of Siberia. And we've got totally melted through here. And see how it's broken away, and this whole Siberia coast was in the red zone in the 2-meter temperature anomaly. We've also got smoke coming up from wildfires. This is smoke. There are a lot of wildfires going on in Siberia here, and this is smoke, and it's coming over the Arctic. Here's the North Pole. Here's the Bering Strait. Here's Alaska. Here's Barrow, Alaska. And we can see this whole Bering Strait is ice-free. There's a little bit of just a very thin ice here that will be melting soon. Here's Wainwright for our friend Alfred, who lives up there. Now this is all cloud covered, but there's no ice here. We saw that. And here it is coming on down into the Amundsen Bay. And look at that. Look at these lines. Let's go back. Trying to find a day where we can see this. Here we go. Look at this. No clouds on the 12th. This is ice-free. That's shocking to see that. Here's where it's already melted and it's just chunks floating around. Robin Westenra did a very good report yesterday about the Arctic sea ice, and he actually went back to one of my videos last year. I think the first one where I was reporting on sea ice. It was in July. It was showing the concentration from July, early July, and it was similar to what we're showing now. So it was weeks, 3 weeks out. Here's Greenland. And the very thick old ice used to live along this northern Greenland and northern Canadian coasts. And we can see that we don't have that anymore. And with that gone, then the rest, it refreezes. It gets thin, it refreezes, and then the next melt season, it melts that much faster. So we can see this is already broken up, melting quickly. See if we can get a cloud-free day. That's about as cloud-free as we're going to get. But you can see how it's already melting here. That's just chunks right along there. The clouds, it's generally cloudy all the time in the Arctic, so you have to kind of go here and there for different days to get a good view. Here's Svalbard. The seed bank is right up here. I think the seed bank is a moot point because nobody will be here and it's probably going to be flooded. Longyearbyen is where the seed bank lives. And there's no ice around there. And that's melting. We can see the land here. That's melting. Melting quickly. There's also, right up here, is an island that has like 5 or 6 glaciers on it. This is the Vovolov ice cap. Last year there were reports that this was melting into the ocean like at 60 miles a day. 60 feet a day. I can't remember if it was 60 miles or 60 feet. It was a 60, but it was an incredible amount, and I was showing pictures of it, and you could actually see the ice moving into the ocean. It was insane. It must have been 60 feet. It can't be 60 miles a day. But these are all melting very quickly. Can't really see them yet. They're in clouds and it's still probably ice covered there. Snow and ice. Not for long though. So, there's our tour of the Arctic. And while we're on NASA Worldview, we will just take a brief peek at this Vayu cyclone. And we can't really see much because of that big black line going through it. But here it was yesterday, where it was, it had skirted India, and then it moved out to sea, and they were predicting that it was going to come back over, but here it is today. It's gone more to the west, so I don't know. I can't find anything really current on it at this point. They were thinking it was going to come back over and then be just like rain coming back over, but who knows. I did find this from NDTV. Cyclone Vayu weakens as it moves again towards Gujarat. It did not make landfall on Thursday as predicted earlier after it changed its trajectory. Well, this is Sunday. And this article is this was updated today. I mean, this is the latest thing I could find. It says it's likely to move towards Gujarat again today, and it has weakened from very severe to a severe category, the weather office has said. So they said it's not going to cause much damage, so who knows. I don't know. You never know. And next, let's check in at the Oroville Lake level, the Oroville Dam. Right now, as of 5 o'clock, it's 894.77 feet and rising. The inflow at 5 o'clock was 8306 cubic feet per second, and the outflow was 4377. The webcams are offline for whatever reason. I go and start watching, it goes off in about a minute. So, oh, and Rosemary Hill left a link to the trimmers for Oroville trimmers map, and it was quite impressive for yesterday. So you can check that. It was in the comment under my show from yesterday. So thank you, Rosemary. We appreciate that. I know they've been doing construction on the roadway there. I don't know if that could cause the tremors. I'm sure it could. I don't know if that was the cause of the tremors or not. And I'm not sure why the live cams are down. They went down Friday night. So let's look at some earthquakes. We're looking on USGS for the last 24 hours, and we have 291 earthquakes here. Of those, 38 are 2.5 magnitude and higher. Oh, hold on, I forgot to pull up my tremors. Hold on, the tremor site. Hold on. Okay, I'm back. So let's see what's about to come off the map. There was a 4.4 at Yapal, Chile at 5:58 yesterday. I think I showed that. I showed the one at Poth, Texas, or Poth, Texas. That was at 6:07 yesterday. So let's just start down here in South America. Here's a 4.4 near Ayapel, Chile at 5:58 yesterday afternoon. And all these times are Pacific time because that's my time zone. It's easier for me to think in that time zone. Here's a 4.9 near San Antonio de los Cobras, Argentina at 3:50 this afternoon, 185 kilometers deep. Then up here in Colombia was a 4.2 near Aratoca, Colombia at 9:18 this morning, 155 kilometers deep. Now let's come on over. We'll come back to New Zealand in a minute because there's stuff still coming in there. Then, just to the south of Africa on this Southwest Indian Ridge was a 5.0 near Prince Edward in the Prince Edward Islands region at 11:30 last night. Next, there was a 4.6 near Pamanzi Mayotte at 12:31 this morning. Now there was one here yesterday too, so this is a second one in the same area, and it was a 4 point something as well. So this happened in the middle of the night. No, my time, 12:31. Next, here 5.0 near Lailungi, Indonesia at 1:13 this afternoon, 52 kilometers deep. It's showing the little tsunami wave for us to check out. Well, there's not a report from that one, but there is a report from the Kermadec Islands region. There was they're still having aftershocks come in. So here was this 6.6. Let's no tsunami threat on that one. No tsunami threat Pacific-wide or to Hawaii. Oh, and the first one was non-US Canada Pacific information. Okay, American Samoa. No tsunami threat to American Samoa. Here's Guam. No tsunami threat to Guam, Rota, Tinian, or Saipan from this earthquake. And no tsunami danger for the U.S. West Coast, British Columbia, or Alaska. Alright, so that's what they say. No tsunami threat. But that's good side. Okay, so that was down here for that one. But this one looks like it was just off the coast. So if it had been on land, that could have caused damage. But since it was in the ocean, that buffers everything. Then coming on around is a 4.6 near Lata, Solomon Islands at 1:56 this afternoon. Here's a 4.9 near Hihifo, Tonga at 5:35 this morning. And now let's look at this cluster. Now this is where that 7.2 earthquake came in yesterday. Came in earlier in the day yesterday, and since then, since my report yesterday, there have been 8 more earthquakes here, large ones. So we're going to go through them. Here's a 5.0 that happened at 6:29 last night. Here's a 5.5 that came in at 8:02 last night. Here's a 6.3 that came in at 10:17 last night. Here's a 5.5 that happened at 1:58 this afternoon. 4.9 at 3:20 this afternoon. 4.9 at 3:28 this afternoon. 5.0 at 4:20 this afternoon. And a 4.9 at 5:11 this afternoon. And they're all around the same depth, 35 kilometers deep about. So there's 8 right there. So we'll check this again before we finish our report tonight and see if anything else comes in. So that's still in the ocean, so it's not causing any damage. Then there was a 4.9 off the coast of Japan near Hitachi at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And that's all of the international quakes, it looks like. Oh, we missed this one in Mexico. Here's a 4.9 near Nuevo, Churumuco, Mexico that happened at 10:25 this morning. Alright, now let's move over to 2.5 magnitude and higher. And we're starting in Hawaii, and we're showing 7 here today. So I'll call them off. 1.9, that's at Kilauea. 1.7 Kilauea. 2.0 Pahala. 1.8 Pahala. 3.2, that's on the flank of Kilauea. 3.1, same place, and a 1.9 at Pahala. So these are getting up there, these threes, and this is on the flank of Kilauea. And remember, this was the earthquake that broke apart and was flowing into the ocean last year, so it could be getting ready to do something like that again. We just don't know. Now let's come on over to the Caribbean. We're showing 12 here today. I'll call them off. 3.0, 1.8, 3.2, 1.6, 3.6, 2.6, 1.5, 3.2, 3.5, 3.0, 2.0, and 1.8. So that's quite a bit of activity and quite a few threes in there. Now coming up to Alaska. We're showing 73 here today. Of those, 4 are 2.5 magnitude or higher. We had a 2.5 and a 2.5 at Kobuk, 2.7 Larsen Bay, and a 2.5 Big Lake. Now that's near Anchorage. So let's look at all magnitudes as we zoom in. So we're seeing a lack of dots here, or earthquakes here in this Cook Inlet, so that's gone down. Not very many around Anchorage here today, but they're still going up through the mountains. They just kind of spread up through the state. Up to the north. And let's see how many are at Kobuk here today. Counting this one and these, there are 31 here today. So that's kind of an uptick. And we saw that there were two 2.5s here. The rest are like mid ones and under. So there's that. Now let's come down to the lower 48. We're showing 182 earthquakes. So they're all on this west side, primarily over here, California and Nevada. Now there was one up here in Lake Erie from yesterday. That they didn't put on the map until after I did my report last night. So I wanted to show that. Because remember, we had this 4.0 here in Lake Erie on June the 10th. And then yesterday, on June the 15th at 1:06 p.m. Pacific time, there was a 1.9. But they didn't put it on the map until after I finished my earthquake report last night, which was around I don't know, 8:30. I got started late, 7:30 or 8, I don't know. But this earthquake happened at 1:06. So they took their own time to put it on there, and now it's gone for my report today. So I just happened to, it was on here earlier in the day, and then it was off, of course, by the time I did my report tonight. So there's that. Now here in Oklahoma, we're showing 3 all in a row here. A 1.3 at Luther, 1.6 Crescent, and a 1.8 at Guthrie. Then down here in Texas, in the Hill Country, 3.6 near Poth, Texas. This came in at 6:07 last night. I showed that yesterday. Arizona's clear. Colorado's clear. Utah's clear. Anything at Yellowstone? Nope, Yellowstone is clear today. Now remember, the blasters are not at work today, hopefully, because it's Sunday. Now here in Washington, we have 6. Now let's look at our tremor map. This is from yesterday, and it's showing 24 tremors yesterday, and they're all in the Mount Shasta area. There was an earthquake this morning up here by Mount Shasta. We'll look at that in a minute. So we've got 6 here in Washington, 1.1 West Richland, 1.3 West Richland, 0.5 Packwood, and then we've got 3 at Royal City, a 3.2, 0.8, and a 1.1. So that 3.2 is getting up there. So there's that. And coming on into Northern California, here is the earthquake to the south. Here's Mount Shasta, and here's this 2.3 earthquake that came in at 4:44 this morning. And if we look at this tremor map, here's Mount Shasta, and it's just down here to the southwest. So that's where those tremors were. So the tremors happened the day before, and then there's the earthquake, if there's going to be. But considering we can't see the tremors until a day after, it doesn't do us much good, except to say, yep, we had tremors there the day before, but we couldn't see them. Makes no sense. Here's a 2.4 off the coast of Petrolia, right on the San Andreas fault line, right at the southern end of the Cascadia subduction zone and next to this Juan de Fuca plate. And straight across, here's 1.0 to the north of Pyramid Lake. That one came in at 2:59 this afternoon. Then Here's a 1.0 near Portola. Now here's Lake Oroville. So that's not that close. Here's Lake Davis. So, and then we've got a 0 magnitude near Cold Springs and a 0.5 near Truckee. And here's a 0.5 in the Mount Rose area. So that's what's going on in the Reno area. Then we've got one down here, 0.4 near Smith Valley. And look how quiet it is in Hawthorne. Hawthorne's quiet. Here's a 1.0 near Gabbs. Here's a 0.8 at Tonopah. We've got, okay, so on the map here, we've got 9 here today. So these are small. These are 1s and under. Now let's come down this east side of California. Here's a 0.8 at Bridgeport. Here's Mammoth Lakes. We've got 21 here today. So that's an uptick. This is part of that Long Valley caldera. Here's Long Valley. This is a big caldera, big volcano area here. See, it says volcanic tableland. So this is all volcano area, old volcanoes. The highest one was a 2.5 that came in at 10:29 last night. So it's part of this cluster. And let's see, I'll call off the higher ones. Here's a 2.0. There's our 2.5. And then the rest are 1s and under. 21. It's quite a few. Coming on down, there's a 0.8 at Lone Pine. Uh-oh, look, we've got a little blast. A 1.2 quarry blast at Boron. 1.6 earthquake at Nenoch. I don't know how to say that. Here's Coso Junction area. We have 15 here today. Let's see if any of these are big. Whoa, we've got a 3.2 there. Came in at, oh yeah, I reported on that last night, 6:48 last night. That's the oldest one, the 3.2. And then here's a 2.1. That's a higher magnitude one than these others. These others are 1s and under. So 15. Now let's move into Southern California. We've got 84 here today. That's kind of a high number. So they're in clusters. We've got a little cluster here. Got a cluster of 3 at Ocotillo. We've got, they're just peppered around, but where is our 84? I'm guessing it's here at Glen Avon. Yeah, there's 60 right there. All piled up. So we've got 2 earthquakes at Glen Avon that are 2.5 magnitude or higher. We've got a 3.0 that came in at 5:12 this afternoon, and a 2.6 that came in at 5:16 this afternoon. So see all the red ones? Those are the new ones that have come in, like in the last hour or so. Look, all of these are, that's all Glen Avon. So, something shaking there. Then here's a 1.3 at Chatsworth. Oh, let's look at Corona. Got a couple down here. A 1.2 Riverside and a 1.3 Woodcrest. Here's a 0.9 Brea and a 1.4 Rowland Heights. Here's Brea. Now the tar pits, La Brea tar pits are over here. So we're not seeing any earthquakes near there. Doesn't look like. Now we got one kind of north of that. That's at Chatsworth. Now let's come up this west coast, this red line, San Andreas fault line, 1.6 San Simon, 1.7 San Ardo, 2.3 San Lucas, 2.3 Pinnacles, 2.0 Pinnacles, 1.3 San Martin, 1.5 Morgan Hill. We'll get to the geysers in a second. Here's a 1.9 at Brook Trails. They had one here yesterday too. The geysers has 22, so that's gone back down. That's about average for a weekend. Let's see if any of those are above 2.5 magnitude. Yes, one is a 2.5, and then the rest are under that. Mostly under 1. There's a 2.2. So this was a long show tonight. I knew it was going to be longer with covering all that extra stuff, but we needed to cover it because we hadn't looked at sea ice in a while. Everybody else had been looking at it, I know, but I like to do my own reporting on it. And we've not done a kind of climate cast, so I'm glad we did that. Kind of got a big picture of what's going on. So I think that's a wrap. 2.5 Big Lake. Yeah, we saw that. Uh-oh. I knew if I sat here another second something would pop up. We just had a 4.4 in the Fiji region. This came in at 554. And it's, oh my God, it's very deep. It's one of the deepest I've seen. 625 kilometers deep. That will cause some movement around the planet, being that deep. And normally about this time of day, they start popping in, coming in. I think because the sun's going down and coming, you know, everything's been heated up and everything's moving and the magma's shifting. So anyway, so I think we're in the end times, and time is very short, and I recommend that everyone get your spiritual house in order while you still have time to do so. So until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and good night.